basket of people. You've gotten people, from the low end, from the middle, from the end, you put them together and say, on average, how much is the Zambian getting? 5,300. You look at what the ideal basket of, food and non-food items for a family of 5. If you live in Lusaka at the moment, it is at 11,000 or thereabout, just over 11,000, right? So we give that figure in the paper.
I am an African.
You say you show that average earnings rose by only 0.5%. I think we've also discussed that the average earnings haven't really increased that well, and 0.5% is really, really low. Between 2022 and 2023, whilst inflation rose by nearly 20%. What does that tell us about inequality in Zambia, and also what kind of wage or policy reforms could help close that gap between income and living costs? Do you think we're heading down a South Africa sort of path, or where you have such stark, inequality? What say you?
I mean, very difficult. My brothers in South Africa will lynch me. So, I mean, when you and this data on all of these, for instance, that we're talking about, this information, this is publicly available information. So you look at the labor force survey, which is done, by the Ministry of Labor, looking at, wage conditions, a variety of things that they look at. And one of those is the average monthly earning. Okay. So you'll find that on average, a Zambian is earning, 5,340, right? That's the average earning. That's almost like your middle class kind of earning. People who probably got degrees, working in a relative. But so this is a basket of people. You've gotten people, from the low end, from the middle, from the end. You put them together and say, on average, how much is the Zambian getting? 5,300. You look at what the ideal basket of, food and non-food items for a family of 5. If you live in Lusaka at the moment, it is at 11,000 or thereabout, just over 11,000. Right? So we give that figure in the paper. So you've got wages that already can't even buy half or just buy half of your basic needs.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. You have a massive problem already that you have. And you can see it on average that it's quite expensive to survive. So you put in, now you add all these other things that you have to consider, buy fuel if you're running a genset or whatever it is that you're doing. So from a policy point of view, when the government starts looking at minimum wages, I think the starting point should be, what's the average costs for somebody to survive on average in some of these places. I know the business sector always talk about, then labor will be very expensive. We are following that. But what is the value of somebody going to work if they're working so hard and they can't afford to put food on their table because the costs are just prohibitive, right?
Right.
So one of the things I think what the basic needs and splendid work that our friends at the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection do is they give us a baseline and tell us, if we're going to talk about minimum wages and things like that and looking to improve the welfare of our people, here is a fairly objective measure to use. We can't talk of minimum wages in certain sectors and say, well, it will be 2,000 or 3,000 kwacha. But this guy is living in a place where it will cost him 11,000 kwacha to survive. How is he going to make up that particular deficit? So I think it's important then in that perspective that we begin from there and build our policy. Because like I said earlier on, our policies as a country must look at the interest of the least amongst us.
The bottom of the pyramid.
That must be the starting place. Don't start off with a guy in the middle. Don't start off with Ntazana who's got degree who can find his way around. Okay, it'll be a very bad policy. It must start with, John Peary, who is in Kalingalinga. can he survive on this minimum wage given the cost of things? So that's what I would say around those particular policy
Before
issues.
before I ask my last question, like, what do you think hinders then that sort of thought process? Because I think that would come, quite obvious to some, like, someone's mind that, hey, like, we need to first care for the least among us. So what do you think sort of hinders that change, I guess, or yeah.
I do think it's the ideological position one takes,
Okay.
whether it's by training or by policies. All these policies we have are informed by ideology. Okay, so if
Okay.
I take a socialist kind of ideology and I think about the people in my constituency, what is needed for them, I put people at the center of the policy, not the policy at the center of people. My ideology changes. If I'm looking to the markets to resolve this, and I take sort of a very neoliberal position, I'd say, no, the markets are efficient. The markets will give us
Right.
distributive efficiency. They will be, all of these wonderful terminologies we like to use in economics, and we're saying, no, the markets will resolve that. The markets will never resolve things for the poor.
Hmm.
They'll never take into
Yeah.
consideration
Very
the
true.
poor.
Very true.
But if we can use the ideology and say, well, where do we place people? These are our priority. Remember, governments exist for the people. They're
Right.
there to work for the people. So if we forget the notion of putting people smack bang in the center of our policy, then of course, and if we put business interests first, then of course it's very difficult to advance an argument that minimum wages should be at least be equal or close to the basic nutrition and needs
Needs.
basket, because
Yeah.
now you're thinking about people. But if we put profits first for businesses and we advance business empires as being the be-all and end-all of our policy, we will forget about the people and we will end up where we might be with the crisis that we have. So ideology around economic policy is extremely important. Can we interrogate and say, what is informing our policies? What kind of ideological standing do I have? Or do our people in government have? What do we want to advance? What is important and critical to us? Once we clarify that, it's very easy then to resolve the issues around, where do we place people? Okay?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I definitely agree.
I am an African.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to check out the full-length podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms. Don't have Spotify or Apple Podcast? No worries. The full audio version is already up on YouTube as well. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss anything Africa. See you on the next one.